Indiana Latino Expo Show.
Como todas las semanas, Fabio Yataco y María de León nos trae el segmento del Axis Spotlight. Ellos van a entrevistar a un miembro del programa de Axis Leadership Program.
Welcome everyone to our Access Participant Spotlight segment where we highlight the different career journeys of Latinx professionals in our city. My name is Fabio Yataco, co-founding member of the Access Professional Leadership Program.
And I am Maria de Leon, a student at Butler University and Access alum, and we are your hosts for this new monthly segment on the ILE show.
Yeah, and so today we have ERIKA Campos, 2020 Access Participant. Bienvenida, ERIKA. We're excited to have you on today's segment.
So today's topic will focus on navigating career change, and ERIKA will share what her experience has been transitioning from corporate to nonprofit. So welcome, ERIKA.
Maria, Fabio, thank you so much. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course, we're excited to get to know you a little bit better today. So, ERIKA, para empezar, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, like where you were born, where you went to school, what you majored in, and what your current position title is?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the question, Fabio. So I'll kick off with, I was born in Colombia, in Cali, Colombia. I grew up in New Jersey and out with my folks, my two parents and my brothers. Fast forward, I attended a community college for 2 years and graduated with my associates, which then led me on to pursue my bachelor's at Cornell University in Ithaca, New York, where I studied policy analysis and management. And from there, I interviewed for a few companies and ended up deciding to accept a job offer out here in Indy. So that is what brings me to Indy today.
Wow, quite the journey. Eager to learn more, and welcome to Indy, I guess. And okay, so it's great to have you. And obviously, Colombia, obviously more representation. We always need more representation here in Indianapolis. So hopefully you've enjoyed the food. But okay, so tell us, I'm sure it's been an interesting journey, right? To be here today, and I'm sure like while you were able to navigate and get adjusted, you came across Access. But I'm interested in seeing what made you interested in applying to the program, and what has been your biggest takeaway so far?
Yeah, absolutely. So shout out to my close friend Paula for recommending me and kind of bringing up the opportunity to apply. And so really that's how I found out about the program, was through my friend. She recommended that I apply. And so I went ahead and applied and wasn't sure what to expect. And once I had gotten the response that I had been selected to be a part of the program, I was absolutely thrilled, especially since I moved out here about 2 years ago. But if you're not counting the pandemic year, it would be 1 year that I was able to explore and interact. And so I was really missing the component of being able to meet new people, especially Latinx young professionals. And so it was great and perfect timing to be able to join you all in Access.
We're lucky to have you.
Thanks.
So kind of going into our topic today, my first question is, what influenced your decision to go from corporate to nonprofit? You know, what were some of those factors that you took into consideration when making that transition?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Maria. So I would say that as an undergraduate student in my senior year of college, I really was not sure what I wanted to pursue coming out. I did know, however, that I wanted to get experience working with data. And I also knew that I wanted to work in the corporate environment because it had not been part of my experience in the past. So I wanted to challenge myself in that way. And so I also knew that I wanted to move outside of New Jersey. And through kind of courses of life, I ran into Eli Lilly at a college fair, or I should say career fair booth. And kind of went from there. I interviewed, and from there met some wonderful people, which is at the end of the day why I decided to accept a job offer with Lilly, and moved out here to Indy in 2019. And I was a business analyst at Eli Lilly, and it was absolutely wonderful. Definitely something that was different from my past experience, and a great challenge in that I was learning new skills and was in a completely new environment, both in terms of state and company and comfort zone. And so it was a great way to explore some of my other strengths. However, about almost 2 years in, I recognized that I really missed the component of working directly with the community and serving at a closer capacity. Particularly, I recognized that I really was enjoying recruiting for Lilly and working with young professionals and working with youth, which is at the end of the day kind of what led me to accept the role that I'm in now, which is a program coordinator for a STEM program at Girls Inc. called ERIKA.
You want to go, Maria?
Thank you. No, I was just going to say, yeah, thank you for sharing that experience. I think it's always definitely a journey itself, transitioning, and also just realizing what, you know, your interests are overall.
Absolutely. I agree with you, Maria. And I also think that I will say it took a lot of reflection, and I think it took a lot of trust and confidence in myself and my abilities and my intuition to be able to step away from such a wonderful company and say that I wanted to go and work for a nonprofit and work with youth where the hours might be longer. But I think really what helped me make that transition was, aside from my peer network and my support group, was definitely allowing myself the time to reflect what it was that was important to me at this time, and to, at the end of the day, just go for it.
Yeah, well, I think that speaks to a lot about just your self-awareness, ERIKA, and, you know, really being honest with yourself and what brings you fulfillment, right? And where you're at in this moment in your journey. I think many of us at this stage in our lives as young professionals, we're constantly thinking about, you know, what fills us, what, you know, where is our energy mapping at, you know, how do we feel about this? So it's great to see and hear that that you were able to figure it out, right? And I think we're still figuring it out. I'm still figuring it out. So I think it's great. It speaks to a lot about how us as young professionals, we don't always have to have one job for the rest of our lives, right? That there's options, but it's important that we're honest with ourselves. So in that honesty, right, with ourselves, can you describe a little bit about this journey? You know, how you were able to, your job searching journey from going from corporate, right, into the nonprofit sector, and what were some unexpected challenges that you kind of encountered along the way?
Yeah, absolutely. So what it looked like for me in my experience, I'd say was a little untraditional in that I had decided, knowing the way that I work, I like to focus on one thing at a time. And with that in mind, I recognized that I would not be able to be in my role and apply for other roles at the same time. So with some planning and some calculated risk taking, I resigned from my role, and without anything else lined up just yet. And, you know, just again, had put myself in a place where I had the opportunity to do that. And so, again, while it was a lot of preparation and a lot of calculating and planning, at the end of the day, you get to a point where you no longer can plan and you just have to take that leap. And so once I got to that point, I resigned, and really took about a month or two to just, as I mentioned before, sit down and reflect and explore what my strengths are and determine what it is that I'm passionate about and how I want to add value to the community and the people that I serve, along with seeking insight from, you know, peers and my support group here in Indy and beyond. So it was definitely a team effort, but also, again, took a lot of trust in yourself. And so I resigned, was unemployed for about 3 or 4 months. And a lot of that time, while I did spend a lot of reflection and a lot of time to myself, and reassessing and reevaluating where I was, I did work part-time. I did pick up on a side hustle, and I also made sure that I was connecting with people within the community. And thankfully, again, Access was a great platform for it. And I was able and have been able to meet such wonderful, empowered, and inspiring people. And I think a lot of that was really what allowed me to explore what opportunities there are here in Indy. And so it was actually through the Access Network that I am beyond thankful for. I was able to get plugged into the role that I'm currently in, or I had heard about the opportunity and was encouraged to apply. So I will say, before I fell into the role that I'm in now, I got a few rejections, did a few interviews that didn't work out, submitted a lot of resumes that I didn't get responses for. And I realized that it wasn't until the point that I was more clear and direct with myself and what I wanted that I started getting responses, and I started to find the roles that I was more interested in. And so I think really the major learning for me there is the world around you kind of mirrors the energy and the message that you're putting out there. And so once I determined and defined what it was that I wanted, the universe worked its magic. And again, the support group that I had, and my family and my friends and my peers and colleagues, I was lucky enough to, again, fall into the place that I'm in now.
Wow, so powerful and really inspiring, ERIKA. I can't wait to see where you'll be 5 years from now, right? Can you just imagine, your story of how you've adapted and overcame and persevered ultimately, right? And you being able to use that network. I think a message to the viewers today is just the power of networking, right? And persistency, and making sure that, to your point, right, you're honest with yourself. How did you ensure that, your career interests, your passion and responsibilities were all aligned, while searching for a new career? I think those are some things that, we kind of say we check off the boxes, right? How did you ensure that those boxes that were important to you were checked off? And what were some of those boxes that you think is important for anybody to keep in mind when they're transitioning to a new position or exploring a potential new position?
Yeah, thank you. So I think that, and Fabio, I've actually learned this from you along the way, is that it's important to see ourselves in some aspects as our own CEO in our own company, and identify what it is that our own mission statement and values are. And so I think through the reflection and through that time that I took for myself, I was able to identify that. And so once I identified that, as I mentioned before, being able to serve the community more closely and being able to work with youth, I recognized and called out those as being important to me. I then used those as kind of my guide map and what my next step would be. And so I think in taking that time and that moment to kind of dig deeper and allow myself to listen to my intuition and my inner being, if you want to call it that, I then had a clearer roadmap of where it was that I was trying to head. And so in terms of checking boxes, I think I really just sat down, thought about what was important to me, and allowed that to be my guide.
Definitely. Well said.
Yeah, so I think whoever watches this video and is thinking of changing, their careers, I think can definitely take on a lot of advice that you have given, in regards to networking, just reflecting and, knowing what you value also in a workplace. So kind of, to end on, not that it hasn't been a positive note this whole time, but to end on a positive note, what advice would you give someone who is considering changing their sector, or just overall their career aspirations?
Yeah, absolutely. I really do think that we all have a clear understanding and infinite wisdom that we sometimes just need to take a moment to try to listen to, because I think through the busyness that is life, and, you know, pursuing opportunity, past opportunity, while it's really exciting and a privilege and empowering and something that you want to pursue to, you know, continue the legacy that your family has started, I also think it's important to create the space for yourself to be able to sit down and think, you know, I do all this, why do I do it? What is my driver? And so I would definitely say it's important to identify what it is your mission statement is. And if the role that you're in now is not in alignment with that, kind of think about why is that, and how did I allow myself to get into a place that maybe isn't as much in alignment as I would like it to be. And if that's the case, kind of explore where your strengths and superpowers might be a better fit. And where you are working in a space that maybe you're more closer to or more passionate about. So I think, one, allowing yourself to listen to your intuition and your wisdom. Two, having the confidence that your strengths, abilities, and the support that you have will allow you to explore those opportunities. And then three, just giving yourself the grace and allowing yourself to laugh at yourself a little bit and be okay with rejection, and be okay with the no's, and be okay with the ignored emails. At the end of the day, that's really not a reflection on anything you've done. It's just, you know, it's kind of a learning experience, and definitely a way to build your confidence and not take rejection personally.
Thank you for sharing that. Definitely, I think overall, the main thing also, like your values, you know, if your workplace doesn't align with your values, it can definitely have an overall impact in your success, I think, and how you think, you know, you're being successful in that space. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I also want to share, you know, the organization or the company that you might be at could be doing amazing work, but if the role itself doesn't align with what you're trying to do, then it can be difficult and perhaps time to explore other opportunities within or beyond.
Definitely. I keep doing this in my mind. I keep doing like mental snap fingers, because there's just this interview has been amazing, and ERIKA, you've, I think, inspired us. Just, I can say that firsthand, and just your story. And I think someone once told me is, when you find your why, you discover your how, right? So it's like really under your why and your purpose, and though it may change from time to time, it's important to really listen to yourself, right? So I think if anybody's taking away anything tonight, it's to listen to yourself, to be honest with yourself, to really be able to understand the values that you hold, you know, true to yourself, and that you expect to be able to find in any kind of employment. So ERIKA, thank you. Have been an amazing guest. We are privileged to be able to hear your story and just share a couple minutes of your day with us. So thank you again. And thank you everyone for tuning in. It's been great to receive your support. We couldn't be able to do this without you all. Next month, we will be going over the importance of communications and marketing with Christopher Alvarez. So don't forget to subscribe to the Indiana Latino Expo YouTube channel, and follow us on Instagram and Facebook to be able to learn more about our Access participants and hear great stories like ERIKA's. Again, ERIKA, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We look forward to getting to know you more throughout the program.
Sí, muchas gracias a todos por acompañarnos hoy. Por favor, compartan estos videos con sus hijos, familia, amigos, y por favor síganos en YouTube, Instagram y Facebook.
María, Fabio, mil gracias por permitirme estar aquí contigo hoy.
Indiana Latino Expo Show.